Okay, so we kind of said this part is optional because we know not everybody necessarily wants to publish a book. If you did bring something on a laptop, if you're able to get on the Wi-Fi, and we kind of got it set up, and so we'll show you kind of what you would do. Okay, well, and you don't need to necessarily kind of go along. The system is pretty simple, but what I'll show you is kind of how it works. So when you go to bookbrewer.com at first, and that is the URL, bookbrewer.com. Then you have this, this interface. It actually explains all the pricing and everything. You can read our blog. You can like us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. You then want to, click the register right here, this Get Started button. You can create your free account. You just enter a username, email address. It will then send a initial link with a temporary password to your email. You click on that, and then the first thing you want to do then is actually change your password. And as you can see, because it's my product, I've created a lot of books. But you can use it to create multiple books, and it's on the My Books page. So this one here, up and running, is one that we actually just got it set up. But the way that you would create a book first is you click the Create ebook button at the top. And then there are really three things you do. You choose your cover image, so you do need to have a good cover. We created kind of a quick and dirty one, but any JPEG or PNG will work, okay? You see what it looks like. You then fill out your title, your author first name, last name. The description is what is going to show up in ebook retail sites like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, etc. if you distribute through us. If you don't, you could just put anything in there. It won't make any difference. And you can also go back and edit all this stuff later. So if you don't have a full description right up front when you're creating your book, you can just put some placeholder text there and then go back and edit it later. You want to think about the categories of your book. We use what's called the Book Industry Standard Something Codes, BISAC, B-I-S-A-C. And it's basically the taxonomy that every single major retailer uses. So here I've said, okay, this is biography and autobiography, and then entertainment, performing arts. So you can choose this with pull downs. Intended audience, these are just things that the different retailers require. You have general, young adult, primary, secondary, etc., and then age group. So once you've gone through all that, then you will end up with a page like this. I wish this were not quite so washed out. So basically, can you all see over on that side? I feel like I should duck down. Okay. Book Brewer gives you essentially a dynamic table of contents. So here we have the very first chapter title, which is, what is the first financials visual analysis method? And I can change that anytime by clicking these buttons. So it's a table of contents where you expand and contract everything. So here I'm editing the content underneath it. Okay, where did we get this content? We went to Rich's Word file. We just copied and pasted stuff. And now some people who use our tools, they ask us, well, why can't I just upload the whole Word document? And here's the main answer for that question. There's actually several. If you played around with iBooks on the iPad, you may have noticed that there's a table of contents that shows up in the book that you can bring up at any time. So I'll just kind of bring this up here. There's an icon here that I can click, and then I see the full table of contents, and I can then jump to any chapter within it. Really nice feature. If you send your ebook to Apple and it doesn't have that, they instantly reject it. Okay? So if you have 40 chapters and you're cranky about having to copy and paste 40 times, just know that if you don't do that, Apple will never sell your book. And it also will just be a bad experience on other e-readers and devices. That's the reason we do that. Interestingly, if you send your book into Amazon directly, you just took a Word file and you uploaded it, they'll gladly take that, turn it into MobiPocket. It goes into the Kindle, and it has no table of contents. For some strange reason, Kindle books do not have table of contents that are dynamic that let you, jump right to a chapter. And I bet one day they're going to change that because the experience is so much better when people can jump through, especially for something like a recipe book or travel book or even a business book. For novels, it doesn't make quite, it's not really necessary, but it's still a convenience. People are used to having that experience. So what I want to show you here is, let's say you want to add a new chapter. You click this little slider here. You say add chapter. So now we're going to add chapter 4. I'm probably going to have misspellings because I can't see it. Oh, that's why it changed. There's sun outside. So now you see I have a chapter 4 down here. And then you want to add the content under it. So everything is basically, it's nested. We'll probably be changing this in the future so that you don't have to worry about that nesting. But you always add a chapter and then you add the content under it. For our bloggers in the audience, to tell you the reason that we did it that way is because let's say you have 3 posts from a blog over a period of 3 years that are thematically oriented and you want them to be in one chapter. You can then import your blog feed, which we're going to do a second with your blog, hopefully it'll work, and then you add those 3 posts into the chapter and you can drag and drop them in between. So we basically let you organize, it's like a curation engine. You can organize related pieces of content under chapter headings. Yeah. So here you can see, with this particular Word file, there's a little bit of formatting we do have to do. The space, there's a lot of funny spacing in between everything, so, but just think there will be millions of people downloading your ebook, right? So it's going to be worth you going through and just doing this. You want to look through, everything to make sure that it's going to be a good experience for your readers. And honestly, by having to do this, it's probably going to make you reread your book. You may even find some mistakes you didn't know existed.
You will find extra mistakes.
Yeah. Well, and this is one nice thing I think about our solution that's integrated ebook and print-on-demand option, is that you could get all your content in here and then publish it as an ebook, and then when you see the mistakes, you can go back in, fix them, push them out to the ebook, but then you don't have to go to another file, right, for your print book and then make the same changes, and it could get really tricky when you're making major edits. With this, it can all be in this one content management system, and then you can just push it out to every single platform. So now I'm going to save this piece of content. You can actually see it writing the HTML as you go along. Something will change in the interface one day. And there's my chapter. Let's say that we wanted, actually I don't know why there's 2 chapter 4s. You remove that. You can remove chapters too. Let's say that actually chapter 4 we want it to be up in chapter 1. You can drag and drop the entire thing. So just for fun, we'll call that chapter 1. Let's say that I have a picture that I want to put into my book. I edit that piece of content, I click this camera icon, and I choose the image from my hard drive. Anyone who has used a blogging engine like WordPress or Drupal, this will be extremely familiar. And if you haven't, it's pretty easy to learn. So I'm just going to use an image that we had found before. It's a special chart. And there's my image. So anything, text and images are all supported in the system. I save it, and then when I'm ready then to, I think, okay, looks good. I'm ready to see what this is going to look like on an e-reader. I click the Create Sample eBook button, and this is where it does all of the magic that you would never want to do yourself around the XML. It created my EPUB file. It ran it through something called EPUB check that we talked about. And so you'll know anything that you send to this system is not going to be rejected because it failed EPUB check. And it's not going to crash somebody's e-reader. I can then download this ebook, and here it is. So right here, you'll notice it's in a browser. That's because I'm using the EPUB Reader Firefox plugin, which is one that I really recommend. It just does the best job at showing what your ebook will look like on most devices. You'll notice that you're always going to see this making the preview. It says, this is a preview only, not for sale. It's a preview. When you're ready then to publish that, you click this link to sell your masterpiece online, and then you choose one of the publishing packages that we offer and as you can see, they're really inexpensive, as low as $19.99 to $39.99. That's just for the ebook only features. So if you just want it to be distributed, you don't want your EPUB file, which, as you know, I recommend not going that route. But if you want to, you can just select this package, and then we'll send it to every retailer you choose. If you want to just download the EPUB file, and you don't want us to send it to retailers, you choose package 2, and that's around $30. We then remove all that sample not for sale stuff, and also on the cover. Well, I don't have it here, but the cover also had a watermark. And then if you want both of those together, you can get that for $40. If you actually bought them independently, so you save $10. Print on demand is a totally separate process. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. And that's the $60 fee. And so in this case, then you have to give us more information. Give us a print cover, image, and a back cover. We actually give you a Photoshop file and a JPEG file that you can then send to designers or use yourself, because it has to be very precise dimensions. Because that's what Peter told me.
He's right.
And it has to be, high resolution. And finally, then, when I do that, I just want to show you what a completed book would look like. Sorry.
What was that?
That was the iPad with the calendar. That's what happens when you have too many devices. They all go off at the same time. Yeah, see, and my computer too. I don't even know what that was. It was just a new event. I wanted to show you here. So this is actually all of the books that we fulfilled since we launched. And what I want to show you is there's another tool you can use called Adobe Digital Editions. Okay, so it's kind of slightly different interface for viewing a book. But this is what the full EPUB file would look like. And I probably won't do it here, but we could drag and drop that. If I connect to my iPad, drag and drop it into the iPad, it would then immediately be on iBooks, and we could then be viewing it.
So what advice do you have for the different formats of the digital readers in terms of your laying out your book?
Sorry, he was waving at me. So,
Different screen sizes, basically.
okay, so the question is, what advice do we have for handling the different screen sizes of e-readers? Well, if you're using just a vanilla EPUB file, which is what our system creates, where it doesn't really have special layout, like I showed you some EPUBs that had fancier layout, they had multiple columns. If you're not doing that, which in most cases you're not going to be doing, you don't have to worry about different sizes, because like on the iPhone, I can bring up any of these books, and I, as the reader, can choose what font size I want. So I may, decide, I can't read this thing. I then change the font size. So you as the author don't have to worry about that. And the way that we save these files initially, they don't really have any styling in them other than simple bolds and italics and stuff like that. So the readers, the e-reader devices, choose their own default fonts and sizes to take that worry away from you.
How about call-outs and things like that, references, call-outs, sidebars?
Yeah, in most cases you don't have to worry about that either, and that's something that our system doesn't really do for you automatically yet, but if you had somebody create that for you, then I'd say anything other than just, I would really call that kind of formatting versus layout. So the only problem I've ever seen is these ebooks that have multiple columns of text, because to be honest, it doesn't work that well on these devices. What happens is the pagination of the columns, your first column reads this way, and then it goes to the next page, and then wraps to the previous page. And in that case, like if you open it in iBooks, the people who created that for us, Book Genie, they said, only open this in iBooks, because we know it'll look good when with the defaults. When I opened it on my iPhone, it was a ridiculous experience where you were just like paging back and forth. But that's the only time we've really seen a problem with that. One thing you may want to consider doing is use a tool like Calibre. Why don't we just go ahead and do this here? To create a MobiPocket file. All right, so let's say I finished this system, I finished my ebook, I got my EPUB file. As I mentioned, Amazon will accept an EPUB file, but their preferred format is MobiPocket. And I have seen 2 cases out of about 800 where the EPUB file, for whatever reason, didn't look exactly the way that it should. Amazon's conversion process inserted some strange characters and removed others. And in most cases, like I don't know what caused it, but it can happen. So if that were to happen, I'm going to open Calibre here. It will eventually, yes, of course I want to open it. Come on. Oh, there we go. Calibre can be a little buggy. So this is Calibre. All you have to do is you drag your EPUB into it. It's importing it to the library. Oh, cool, this is the Dark Matter book. And then I choose this option, I choose this icon here and say convert individually. And you can see here all these different formats it'll convert to. So I can say turn it into a MobiPocket. It's working on it. Usually takes a few seconds. Most people don't do this, by the way. But if you do it, you'll be like, yeah, doing it, taking the extra step. The reason you want to do this is because you can then, as I'll show you can then preview exactly what it will look like on a Kindle on your desktop. So here I have Dark Matter for EPUB. Then I have it in MobiPocket. There is you can go to Amazon.com and get the Amazon Kindle for Mac or Kindle for PC desktop app. And in theory, this will show you exactly what this will look like on their e-reader. What I can tell you is it looks pretty close, if not exactly the same, in EPUB if you send them an EPUB. But if you want to be absolutely sure, you could do this. Remember I said there was a book that had formulas in it? Who's the scientist? Oh, Busy Khan. I just think it's cool that there's formulas. I'm the son of a scientist. So that's how it works. So if does anybody have any questions about kind of what we went through, or anything else you're wondering about that you can do? Yeah.
I just noticed in your editor, it sort of takes the browser width for the text. At what point does it format down to the width of the Kindle or the other documents?
Oh, you mean when I brought up the...
When we were pasting it in and then you did a preview on the book,
yeah.
It takes the browser width, but then when you go down to the devices, it just take the EPUB file and then just format it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of EPUBs. What's that? Oh, okay. You all need to ask shorter questions. I'm like kind of editing my mind. So do you have to worry, the question is, do you have to worry about the width that you see within your EPUB reader on your desktop? Is that going to be the width that appears on the Kindle, and then could it appear, could it be wider in the Kindle and you wouldn't see content? And the answer is no, you don't. And this is why EPUB and MobiPocket are so much better than PDF for mobile devices, because you can take a PDF file and you can put it on your iPhone. Has anybody here tried that before? No? It's like I'd say it's like reading on a trampoline, because you're constantly zooming in and out. It makes me want to throw up. With EPUB, the whole idea of spaces and even pages goes away, because the user can always increase the font size and everything flows, paginates automatically. So.
So Dan, how many books have gone through the book brewer system so far?
Yeah, we have around, let's say we have around 4,000 registered users at this point, and I think around 2,900 books in process. And we have published or distributed through print on demand around 400 so far. It's kind of an interesting, commentary on how long it takes authors to finish their books. And what's fun is I can log in and I can see as the admin, like people are really working on their books. And in some cases it takes time, and then they ask us questions in the forums, and sometimes they'll sometimes we have specials where we offer like hey, if you pre-order this now, then you'll get 30% off, and then those are usually pretty popular. So that's a way that we prevent from going bankrupt while waiting for the authors to finish their books.
So do you have any hand-holding services that you offer people that need help, that they get stuck on something?
Yeah, we're starting to. I mean, right now, because we chose to do this. Oh, the question is, do we have other services that we offer authors who need help? And right now, we offer a lot of really most advice type help. We just offer that for free in our forums. So you can go to this link forums, and you can ask a question, and then right now, then we get the question, and then we answer it. We're hoping to open that up now that we have more people who have finished the process. They're telling us that it was such a great experience, they want to help other people, right? And so we're probably going to have some kind of public area, and it'd be authors helping authors. But if somebody wants to do things, like they're using the tools, and then they have a question like with the video, like we have a few authors have said they're working on a multimedia book now, and they have videos, and they want to get it together now. So we will then hook them up with people who, basically certified service providers who work with us, who can then take care of those needs. And in time, a lot of that multimedia functionality will move into Book Brewer itself, and you won't need to work with someone else. Yeah. So where in the process do you, when you choose to sell the book, do you just, can you say what's the price and to whom am I going to send it?
Right.
And I will show you because we skipped over that. So I've got my book in here. I click on here to see all the different packages. Let's say I just choose distribution. So first of all, something we didn't even address, if I have my own ISBN number, I can put it in there. If I don't, as part of that fee, we actually give you one. And if you buy anyone know what an ISBN number costs? $125
For one.
for one.
300 for 10.
Yeah, but who's going to buy 300? Maybe you, okay. So buy them from him, although Bowker's like, thou shalt not resell ISBNs. They cost us about $1 a piece, so we just throw it in the package. But if you want your own ISBN, you can put it in there. And then, right here, you can say, okay, I want it to be $9.99 on Amazon, $3.99 on Kobo. So these are all the different retailers. If you leave one blank, we just ignore it. We don't distribute it there. And you can change that over time. What happens is the retailers just start to do funny discounting. Like the prices will move up and down, and it's just, I don't know, I think it's all automatic. Whoa. Hope you're all right. But yeah, it's pretty simple. And then also, I want to show you on the print-on-demand setup, we do something similar where you can tell us what the markup is. So if I chose print-on-demand, then down here I can say, it says markup, you put a number in there. It says, this is your profit per sale. For example, if you mark up a $6 book by 2, you'll make $2 for every sale of that book. If you leave it blank, you will not make any profit. So most people fill that in. And then you can change that in the future, and then we send that to the URL. Yeah?
Yeah, I came here to the e-book workshop at the beginning of January, and it was kind of geared towards Smashwords.
Yeah.
So as I've been writing my book over the last 3 months, I've been gearing this bit to Smashwords.
Yeah.
So having now done it, are you telling me that if I wanted to come to Book Brewer, all I really have to do is take my document, my e-book, as it stands at the moment, and paste it into your...
Yeah, you could do that if you wanted to.
For the 39...
Yeah. And then
what you actually physically do, is it? So that
That's what you physically do. And then, the big difference between us and them, I'm sorry, I have to repeat the question. You guys should change that rule. If you have something that you created for another service, such as Smashwords, can you put that into Book Brewer? And the answer is yes. And the steps are, if you have it in a Word file, or if you had it in any other kind of format.
Use OpenOffice? Is that
Yeah, that'll work. You can copy and paste from there. You can copy and paste from web pages if you want to, and put them in our system. And, I think probably the other question within your question is, well, I already have this kind of stuff with Smashwords. Why would I want to do it with Book Brewer? Well, one answer is, and then the other question people ask is, I can do this for free with Smashwords. Why should I pay you? Well, do you want to give 15% of your royalties to Smashwords? That's actually, one problem. I mean, every time they get paid, they're only sending you 85% of what they got. So we have a better royalty rate. In addition, and this is something that Smashwords is not very open about this, they don't automatically send your book to all the retailers. You have to be approved into a special program, which means they need to want your book to be sent to retailers because they want it to make money, right? Which kind of, I guess, sort of makes sense, but it's not an automatic process. So, yeah, it's free to put it into Smashwords and everything, but they may not approve you for their program, and then you did all
it's
that.
called the premium catalog. That's what it's actually.
The premium catalog, yeah. And they list what it takes to get into that. And I think that a lot of the things that they suggest are really good suggestions. But I just find it interesting. I've never understood why. I mean, I think it's a different approach. So they're acting more like a publisher in a way. And we're just like a true publishing service. In fact, if you send us something and we see that we know that Apple will reject, it's usually Apple who rejects things, that they'll reject it for one of 7 different reasons, then we send it back to you and say, hey, we can send this on, but we're pretty sure Apple will reject it because the cover image is a poor quality scan and they don't accept that. So we have kind of this list of things. And I think what Smashwords is doing is they kind of pre-screen for that. They don't even, it's like you have to be in the program first. So, but I think Smashwords is a good service, so I don't have a problem with it.
Are you worried about inappropriate things being published through Book Brewer, like the how to be a pedophile?
I know, yeah. That whole story came out, I think, the week after we launched. And then furthermore, like the person was in Colorado. So we had CBS News call us up. They were trying to find out where the book was published. I was like, we don't allow anything of that nature. And if we ever saw it, we would notify authorities, which is actually true. If there's anything that's illegal that goes through our system that's really obvious, I mean, we don't read every single page. We can't. We follow the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, safe harbor provisions. And but if we happen to notice it, it would be pretty obvious, I think. Then, yeah, we'd reject it, and then we'd probably, in that case, notify authorities and send everything to them. So, but one person's, there's inappropriate and there's illegal. I mean, go to Amazon.com, search under erotica, tons of stuff that plenty of people would think of as inappropriate, and others think is great. So, we don't make any changes to that. Madam Blogger, should we try importing your blog now?
Sure.
Okay. And this My Available Content area is where it shows all the imported stuff. So here's blog example. Oh, this is actually a blog post about how excited I am about CU's journalism program in the future. You just click add, and it's going to add it to the very bottom of my hierarchy, right? And I could add a few of them that way, or maybe I have other blogs, so I want to add this thing. And I can decide, yeah, I want that to be in chapter 3. Just drag it and drop it in there. Pretty important to edit stuff that came from a blog because there's all kinds of reasons. The biggest one is that often what people write for a blog is very timely, and that if you put it in a book that's meant to be for the ages, it's not going to make sense. You want to do a little rewriting probably. But you can see how, logistically it's pretty straightforward. So I'd be happy to, work with you afterwards, and we could look in WordPress. I actually use WordPress too, so we could work something out.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, that's pretty much what I wanted to show everybody. if anybody wants to hang out between now and 12:30, I'd be happy to sit with you at your laptop or here, and we can kind of walk through the system, or if you have any questions. But I think I've pretty much gone over everything.
All right.
So thanks so much.
Let's give Dan a big round of applause.